important is it to follow a specific lineage?
Specific lineage, I suppose the reference is to the fact that once a master dies, a number of different streams of masters start coming up. It has happened throughout history. Every time a perfect living master died, so many people claim we are the real ones following them. So it's very difficult to know. A professor in the University of California in America has prepared a paper called Radha Swami Gaddi Machines. He says how the Gaddi succession transferred from one master to another and starts with Swamiji and draws lines of four masters he names in his last bhajan, Akhri bhajan. And then he named Baba Jaimal Singh, who was not named in those four, as the fifth one. Then he draws lines from each one of those, the 10 or 12. Ultimately, by the time he comes to the present, there are more than 500 masters from one guru. In the lineage where great master came from, in which I was initiated by great master, that lineage of Swami Sher Shivdayal Singh from Agra itself has more than 500 masters today. How will you know who is a perfect living master then? There are so many masters around and all claiming to be the real ones from the same lineage and the different lineages coming. How do we determine? Now, when I was working in the government, Chief Secretary was considered a good position in the government. It's an important position. People would come from Agra following those other traditions, and they would come and argue with me that your master was not a real master at all. There's no will saying that Baba Sawan Singh will be appointed master. There's no will saying that Jaimal Singh was appointed. There's no mention of Jaimal Singh's name in the four names mentioned by Swamiji. This whole line is completely false. You have been following a false master. They would tell me that, please, you come to Agra, get initiated by a proper master from one of the proper lineages that have been laid down there. And I would say, I don't know Baba Jaimal Singh. I never met him. I don't know Swamiji. I never met him. I have no idea of lineages. All I know is I met a man with a white beard. And that man said he can give me something. And he gave. Do I need something more than that? I don't know about any other guru. I know one. From my experience, I can give any certificate anybody wants. Hazur Maharaj Baba Sawan Singh was a perfect living master. I am not saying this for any will or any succession, any lineage. I am saying from my experience. Therefore, this is a matter, if you go into the legalities of these things and start examining with your minds and mental analysis, you never come to any conclusion. So people ask me, which master should I follow? I said, follow that master who pulls you with his unconditional love, who has no judgment. Because I reduce, there are several signs of a master indicated by all the masters. For example, no perfect living master claims that he is a master. He says, I am a servant of my master. So therefore, you can't say, master says, I am the master, and roll him out. Because of the very criteria they are laid down themselves. So no master says that. Master is an ordinary person like us, lives like an ordinary person, does not perform any street miracles. That is just an ordinary person teaching the same thing others are teaching. How do we know he's a master? And which lineage should we follow? Then my recommendation always is, any master who you have associated with and you have experienced unconditional love and no judgment, and that kind of love which pulls you from your soul inside, that you feel like crying, that you feel something I have met for which I was waiting for centuries, for several lifetimes. You feel like that, follow him. Don't even worry where he comes from, which lineage he is. I gave this instruction, gave this answer to people. Then one man wrote to me, I have found two masters and I am pulled by both. Now who should I follow? I said, we have great difficulty finding one. You are very lucky. You found two. Follow any one of them. If you are really finding two masters who pulled you, but we have no other way. to judge, because masters are hiding in their bodies. They are hiding. We call them, in Punjabi, we call them Barupiyas. You know what a Barupiya? A Barupiya is a disguised person. When I was in Ishwar Puri, my father was teaching there. I was a student there. And then we had to go and take some medicine from a Hakim. And he lived in a street. To go through the street, we had to pass through a red light area. Prostitutes were there in that area. We had to go. The Hakim lived on the other side. So we were used to these Barupiyas, and somebody, a police officer would come to our house and say, there's a charge against you, give me 50 rupees. And we say, oh, what the charge is? That you've done something. If we gave him 50 rupees, he would say, I deserve it because I am not a police officer. I deceived you with my disguise. If he could say, you are not the police officer, then we gave him only 5 rupees for his cost of costume and the design. So they kept on changing. Now we are sadhus going to Amarnath, they would come and we would say, all right, we give them 5 rupees or 10 rupees or some rice and something. They'd say, give 50. Why? We are not sadhus. We are Barupiyas. Barupiya means they are disguised people. So one day my father said, let's go to the Hakim. Will you come with me? I said, all right. We went. On the way, a woman in that red light area, a prostitute, caught hold of my arm. Oh, I'm glad to see you again. I said, I have never seen this woman. I have never come here. And my dad said, it doesn't matter. In young age, these things happen. I said, no, Dad. I have never come here at all. This is terrible. This woman must be somebody else. No, don't you know? I met you yesterday. And I was so ashamed. I said, what has happened today? We just passed. I said, sorry, this is wrong. Went to the Hakim and came back. Next day, police officer came, give me 50 rupees for yesterday. Better than Barupiya. So they say that the saints are Barupiyas. They hide themselves in ordinary bodies, in ordinary life, and come here. And they hide and mix up with the people. But for those who are marked to be their disciples, they send an inkling of that love for them, which only those souls are touched. And they say, there is some pull coming from here. Therefore, the definition of a perfect living master of any lineage would be, if he pulls you, follow. And don't worry about lineages, because even the Anurag Sagar says, when a perfect living master comes into the world, at least 11 other masters will be around. Because it's a battle between Dayal and Kal. The Dayal is the merciful one coming from Sachkhand. Kal is the time that's been created by Dayal to create the oppositions, to create the duality here. And therefore, while Master does one thing, Satpurush does one thing, the totality of consciousness does one thing, the opposition created at a lower level does the opposite of that. And sometimes it's a copycat. They copy the same thing. For example, in Anurag Sagar, again, that ocean of love by Kabir, it says that originally there was only Satpurush there. There were 16 sons of his. Those were qualities of consciousness. They were not really sons, but he called them to make a story. They were sons. Fifth son was passion, and he is the one who wanted to copycat his father. So he established his own kingdom, and the father banned him from coming back to Sachkhand, and he is forever now abandoned into a state of time and no timeless feeling he has. And in turn, he created a mind and banned the mind and banned everybody else from coming to his own destination. So there's a whole lot of stories about how this worked. But the truth is that masters also are several masters who are not masters. Then there are masters who are at different levels. It's not that they are all totally fake. Because to give talks and to give lectures, anybody can do it. You read from a book and you can start talking. It does not touch you. You listen and you go away. So that is why that's not a very good test of a master. The test is what happens to you inside. How are you affected inside? What do you feel about it? So that is why these fake people can be there. But some are not fake. Some are genuine masters, but they haven't reached the top. They have reached the first stage, astral stage. They think that is heaven. They are Sachkhand. There are others who go to the next stage. They think that is Sachkhand. Now, those masters genuinely believe that what they are achieving is the top. Therefore, you cannot say they are fake masters because they have reached certain level. But supposing a disciple who wants to go to the top meets one of those masters and gets initiated, the master will take him up to the point where the master has gone. He can't take him beyond that. He'll say, this is it. But the disciple will not feel satisfied. The disciple will feel, I want more. This is not what I wanted. Automatically it will happen. If the disciple desire is only to go to that level, it will be fulfilled. He is happy. If his desire is to go to the true home, he will not be satisfied and the new master will take over and take him higher. There can be several masters that way in our life. Now I will tell you another true story. There was one engineer working in Burma. His name was Trilok Chand. Trilok Chand worked in Mamio and Rangoon, and he was very keen to find a perfect master. And he looked all over Burma. Burma is a very Buddhist country. Now Myanmar was a great Buddhist country, and he looked around. He was not satisfied. Then he heard there is a master in Madras, in India, and he can give you true knowledge. The concept of true knowledge came because in history, we have heard that there was a king called King Janak, and King Janak wanted true knowledge, and he could not find true knowledge. So I'll tell you briefly the history if you haven't heard of King Janak. That King Janak was a great seeker, but he was also king of the kingdom. And then he asked his advisors, I want to have real knowledge, true knowledge. And I want it quickly, instantly. Where can I get it? They said, King Janak, you are a very lucky person. You are living in a country full of masters, full of gurus, full of yogis, swamis. The whole country is full. You have no problem. You just hold a feast, hold a yag or a feast, and they will all come. If the food is good, more will come. So just have a nice feast and invite them, and then you will get true knowledge. So he held a big function. He called all the important gurus who were renowned, swamis, yogis, and they all assembled in the palace. The king disguised himself incognito, became Merupia, and he walked amongst them like a tourist and heard them. He was shocked. They were so learned, but they did not have any real knowledge. They were just quoting from the books. And they were arguing, book means this. They said, no, another one. They came to blows sometimes. He said, these people are so learned about books only. They have no real knowledge. He was very disappointed. He told his ministers and advisors, I am disappointed. These are not the people who give me true knowledge. They said, Your Majesty, you haven't invited all the people. This country is big and you should have a 7-day function. So he had a bigger function. He called all the people by beat of drum from the whole country. They all assembled for a 7-day feast in the palace. He set up so many tents for them and he moved among them again incognito. He found the same thing repeated 7 times more. People were all brought their scriptures. They were very learned in the scriptures. They could recite their scriptures by heart. But nobody had true knowledge. So ultimately he got so disappointed. He went to the palace and said, I am very disappointed. All these people are very learned but not knowledgeable. They don't have true knowledge. They have only words. They know the correct words from the scriptures. That's what they have learned. Then the advisor said, King, if you want that kind of knowledge, these people don't have it, but there is a perfect living master sitting on the bank of a river. His name is Ashtabakar. Ashtabakar means 8 folds. Ashtabakar means 8-fold because he is hunchbacked. He has got humps on his back, 8 folds on his back. So he's got a deformed body, but his eyes are bright and he's the perfect living master. He can give you this knowledge. He said, why didn't you tell me first? The king said, take me immediately to him. So they took the king to him and he went to Ashtabakar, said, Master, I want you to come and give me true knowledge. He said, all right, king, you have come yourself. I will certainly come to your palace. So a date was fixed. King invited all the princes of neighboring states. All royalty, nobility, all top people were there. in his auditorium in that palace, and the whole crowd was waiting. And Ashtabakar came with 9 or 10 of his disciples, and they took off their shoes at the door of the auditorium. That was practiced there in those days. They took off their shoes and they began to walk. King had set 2 chairs on the dais, one for himself and one for the master. So, as the king received the master, people began to laugh. Is this the man hunchback that is going to give us knowledge? The king has gone crazy to call this kind of person and invite all of us, wasting our time. So, when the master came and he sat on the chair, he said, King, what is the price of leather today? And king said, Master, I invited you to tell us true knowledge. What has leather to do with it? He said, the way these people are looking at my body, I thought they are interested in the skin and maybe they are leather merchants. Then everybody felt this man has a sense of humor. So they kept quiet to listen. And then Ashtabakar said, King, what kind of knowledge do you want? King Janak said, I want instant knowledge. Ashtabakar said, what is an instant? He said, instant is a little time. He says, how much time is an instant? He says, when I go out riding, when I put my foot in the stirrup and jump on the saddle of my horse, that's one instant. He says, if you want knowledge in that little time, it will cost you something. King said, all my coffers, all my treasury is open. Take whatever you want. Ashtabakar said, I only want 3 things. King said, take 10. No limit for this kind of knowledge. He said, no, 3 things. Give me your body. Give me your wealth. Give me your mind. I'll give you true knowledge. I'll give you instant knowledge. A very strange price tag. People were all listening, what is happening? But the king was so keen on true knowledge, he agreed. He said, Master, my body is at your disposal. All my wealth is yours. And my mind is also yours. Give me instant knowledge. Ashtabakar said, is this body mine now? Yes, sir. Okay, now the body is mine. Place it on the shoes which I took off when I was entering the room. So it was a strange order, but he got up. He said, I have given my body. He can place it wherever he likes. So he began to walk towards the shoes. Then the murmur took place. This is absolutely silly what's going on. We thought we were going to hear a nice discourse from this master. He's telling the king to sit on shoes. What kind of knowledge is this? So king said, these people don't know what I am seeking. They think I am king with all my wealth and therefore I should not be doing this. When this thought came to him, Ashtabakar shouted from the stage, King, you have no business to think of your wealth. You've given it to me. He said, oh my God, I forgot that I had given everything to the king. That's not my wealth. And I'm just thinking about it. Ashtabakar shouted, you can't even think about it. You've given your mind to me. Can't even think. Put his head like this and stood like this. And in that instant, he got knowledge. Of course, it was grace of the master at that time that poured the knowledge into him. He said, King, you don't have to go to the shoes, come back. So king came back, sat. He said, did you get instant knowledge? Yes, master. Any questions? No, master. Was it an instant? Less than an instant. The king said, you gave me what I was looking for. He said, this was just a glimpse. Masters give you a glimpse to build your faith. Now work on meditation for about 20 years, you'll get this again. He said, thank you, master. I am happy with the glimpse that I got today. Now this story was known to that Swami in Madras, known to Trilok Chand. So when Trilok Chand went to Madras and met the Swami said, have you heard of King Janak and Ashtabakar? Yes, sir. My terms are the same. Give me your wealth, give me your body, give me your mind, I'll give you your knowledge that you're looking for. Now imagine how this man was a very miserly person. This man, Trilok Chand, when he lived in Burma, when he had to spend money, he would take out 1 rupee like this, look at it, to spend or not to spend, to spend or not to spend, not to spend. That's how he accumulated 50,000 rupees in a job, an engineer, road engineer. And he saved money all the time. So he brought that 30,000 rupees he had brought to India. And the Swami says, give me your wealth, give me your mind, give me your body. And he said, yes, sir, it's all yours. Swami said, let's start with the wealth first. How much do you have? I have saved 30,000 rupees. Put them all into my bank, transfer into my bank because I have to start making a temple. I was waiting for this kind of donation. And this man transferred the whole money. Shows what a seeker he was. Then he said, now you give me your body, I'll teach you how to do meditation. But first we have to treat the body, then I'll go to the mind. In the body, you have to do breathing exercises. You have to do pranayam. And the breathing exercise will be one breath in and out from the left nostril, one breath in and out from the right nostril. And you cannot use your fingers. Because if you use your fingers like this, your whole attention will be in the fingers. It has to be done internally because truth lies inside us. Therefore, it should be done with the tongue which is inside. So put your tongue back and from the inner orifices of the nasal orifices, move the tongue one to the other. And since the tongue doesn't turn back, it's connected with tendons, you have to cut the tendons so the tongue can move back. Swami said, I have done this. He took out his snake-like tongue, which came so big. He said, I can twist it around and use it. You have to do the same thing. He said, okay, master, I will do it. He said, I will cut it, but not I will cut it with a knife. I'll cut it with sandpaper. I'll cut it with a nettle rash so that it pains you. You have to sacrifice. Truth does not come without pain and sacrifice. So this Trilok Chand suffered torture for 1 month. Every day he would scrape a little bit. After 1 month, this torture of bleeding and all that, tongue got finished, and then he taught him how to do that breathing exercise. He says, now the meditation is put your mind with this thought in the breath. As you take the breathing, put your mind on it and draw it up. And as you draw it up, take it to the top of your head. And then you will get true knowledge. He tried that. He would get some experiences, some flashes of light. Some experiences he got which were good but not satisfied him. He wanted real true knowledge. He didn't want those flashes of light. So ultimately he says, Swamiji, I'm very grateful, but this is not, I wanted more. Swami said, I can only give you this. If you want more, some other master will give you. Eventually this Trilok Chand reaches the great master, gets initiated, makes rapid progress because of all the passion he had for this. One day we were sitting, I remember, about 20 people around great master in the evening in his house. Trilok Chand was there also. My father was also there, sitting there. And Trilok Chand folds his hand and he says, Master, had I known you are the real master, I would not have given those 30,000 rupees to the Swami. His mind was still on that he had given away the money. And great master laughed. He said, Trilok Chand, you don't know. The day you came to me, I transferred those 30,000 to my account. No effort is ever wasted on the spiritual path. You did not waste your time with the Swami. It was necessary for you as a step to come to me. Therefore, never feel that maybe this is not the right master, because every master, every step you take is in the right direction, so long as you are a seeker. Your seeking is what is leading you up. Several masters can come in your life. In fact, in our scriptures, they say there are 4 masters we have. Very first master is our mother, when we are born. Second master is our school teacher. Third master is in the temple, in the church. And fourth master is who gives us spirituality. So 4 masters mentioned right there. So masters can come in our way and we can progress slowly to find it. So don't worry about lineages, don't worry about this. Whichever master pulls you, follow.